Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. On this video, I will be explaining about resource planning, assigning teams and equipment. So I will be focused on assigning the right people and equipment to the tasks to keep project on track and on budget. By the end of this video, you will be able to learn why resource planning is crucial for project success. You will identify different resource types, team, equipment, material. You will learn how to assign, label, and monitor resources effectively. First, why resource planning matters. We need to make ensure that it is contractually obligation, delivers deadline, and payment can be made on time. Based on the NC contract, there are options A, B, C. On to make the payment on time, we need to have resource on. It directly impact the cost and budget. Labor and equipment are major expense of the project. If we do not estimate the resource accurately, there will be financial loss for the company. It also helps to prevent ideal teams and equipment, reducing the delay or extra cost in the project. Resource types and role. In the project, we need the human resource based on the roles and skill level. We need the resource in the project to deliver the work package. Another thing is the equipment. We need the specialized machine, tools, vehicles, and to find out their ability and capacity to do the work. Another one is the material and suppliers. We need to find the suppliers who can supply the material for the project. We need to find the quantity and lead delivery time for the material to come into the site. Also the role we need to define each team member responsibility. Example, team lead, operator in the project. Building a resource matrix. We need to create a chart or simple matrix so mapping out the tasks versus the resource, what tasks are going to perform by which resource, what equipment do we require in the project. We need to create a chart on it, and also we need to include the required skills or qualification for each task. If we are doing the design part, we need the design team, lead designer, project designer, assistant designer to complete it. And also we need to identify the owner of each task. For example, John can be leading the lead development. So based on that, we need to assign the role for the team. And also we need to understand the scope and resource availability change, and we need to update the chart accordingly to it. Assigning team. So we need to assign the team for a project, so we need to have the experienced team to complete the tasks. We do not understand the resource, we do not have the required experience to complete the tasks. We need to balance the workload. We need to avoid the bottleneck problem, check the availability of resources, whether they are available or not, whether they are over allocated in the project or not. We need to check those things in the project. We need to have the key person reserved early when required. According to the schedule, we need to keep the people reserved early. We need to have multiple teams working for different large projects. We need to create a cross-functional link between the project when they are available, when they can complete the tasks in the project. Assigning an equipment and material. We need to identify the equipment needed for tasks, machinery or vehicle. Without the machine, the task cannot be complete. We need to check the ability and capacity of it, calendar of it, rental schedule when it can be available. And also we need to make sure the maintenance and setup time into the schedule, not working period. For example, it takes periodic maintenance or setup in the schedule that need to be considered in our project schedule. We need to coordinate with the procurement. Some material may take time to in the site, some may come from the Asia, which may take 3 to 6 months. We need to make sure that we have a long lead time in the schedule. Another is the calendar and availability. We need to make sure that our resources are available and the equipment is also available at the required time. For that purpose, we need to have the working hours, shift, holiday, downtime of each resource, and also the availability of the equipment. So we need to align our project schedule calendar according to it and site availability with resource availability. We need to update our calendar for leave or rental for accuracy so that on the required time the resources are available, they are not on the holiday. If there is a holiday, we can provide the alternative for it and plan according to it. Another is resource labeling and complete. We need to identify over allocation. Resource aligned beyond their capacity. Some resource may be allocated for different projects. So we need to make sure that the resources are available at required time. If resources are not available in requirement, they may delay the critical activities. Also, we can delay some non-critical activities and split the tasks as per the resource available. We need to prioritize the critical path tasks. If there is delay on it, then it will impact overall contract milestones. For the resource labeling and complete, we can use the software like P6 leveling to automate the complete resolution. Multiple projects are linked with one resource, so with that software we can make the resource leveling and do not over allocate the resource. Estimating the resource duration. The duration of resource depend upon the task and also the productivity of the resource, skills, number of people required to complete it. When there are larger number of people, the duration will be shortened and there will be coordination with the team. We can use the historical task duration by similar teams and equipment, how long a resource take to complete that task. Also, we need to have the continuous refine of estimate during execution. It depends upon the productivity of resource and it may take time more than it estimate or take less than the estimation. So we need to have refine the estimation during the execution phase. Resource costing and budgeting. We need to assign the cost rate to each resource. In the P6, we assign the pound per hour rental rate. We need to calculate the cost per task or resource hour into rate, what is the resource rate for it, and also include the fixed cost or overtime allowance, for example expenses for the resource, other expenses means indirect cost in the project. We need to review the budget impact and resource wise because some resource may be expensive or we need to hire some SME which may be expensive, so we need to review about the resource and review our budget every year. Monitoring and reallocation. We need to track the actual versus planned resource usage, hours and quantity. By the P6 program, we can track what we have planned, budgeted for that activities and what actually we have done. If we need more resource, then we need to assign more resource on it and we need to produce the report variance, whether the resource has worked over or less to complete that task. We need to produce the monthly variance report so that we can monitor the resource. So if we finish ahead of the project, then we can hire the resource to other tasks, or if it is behind the schedule, then we can hire more resource to complete it. Adjust for the forecast and budget based on the actual burn rate, what we have done, what we have achieved to the value till money we spent. We can monitor those things in the project. Common pitfall and mitigation. Over allocation. Sometimes we allocate more resource on it that leads to the burn. We should mitigate by realistically using the calendar level in the resource align in the project. Sometimes we can underestimate the resource for the task which may delay the activities that is on the critical paths and where we need to add the more resource on it. And also we are ignoring the equipment constant. For example, the equipment are not available all time because of which the resources are on the idle. We need to check the tool availability and calendar of it. Sometimes it may occur that we change the scope but we do not have the resource on the resource pool, which may also impact the delivery of the project. So we need to review our resource and make sure that the right resources are available for the scope change. This is one of the example of resource alignment for the project. Based on the requirement, right skill qualification resource should be assigned project and right equipment should be required for the work package to be complete. If the resource allocation software such as Primavera P6 can be used to find the resource pool, assign the resource to the activities, use resource labeling, use resource profile, and also can produce the monthly resource profile and track the planned versus actual work done in the project. Another one is Excel and Smart Sheet. We can use the Excel template for the resource matrix and filter it based on the requirement, which resource is working on which project or how much resource we need in the project, or if the resource is over allocated or not. We can find out from the Excel sheet also. Other tools can be Microsoft Project, Week, SAP can be used. And we can also maintain a SEO resource assignment log where it can contain task ID, resource name, role, start date, end date, hour, and comment. On that way also we can track the resource where it is working on the project. This one is the resource alignment log tag where we can create a track of the resource where it is working, how much work is doing, and what day when it became free. So that information can be found on this one. Summary and key takeaway. Resource planning helps to align people, equipment, schedule to meet the project goal. It helps to find out the impact on the contractual performance and budget allocation. We can use the matrix log to document the assignment, monitor, and adjust as needed. We can use the project management tools or P6 Excel to improve the accuracy and visibility of the resource. Thank you for watching this video. If you find this video useful, please like, share, and subscribe our channel. Thank you for watching today. Have a good day. Bye.